I believe every designer wants to create amazing drawings and illustrations. We want to combine technical skills with creativity, communicating our unique vision and imagination, even if it's just a 5-minute sketch. But before it becomes possible to create great sketches, we have to spend some time with the basics. We simply cannot expect to communicate our ideas through a drawing without basic technical skills in place. This is the reason so many beginners unfortunately quit drawing only after a few unsuccessful attempts, thinking they are too complex for their level. But there are a few simple things that are important enough to matter. First of all is practice. With any skills, we have to practice and build our abilities. Drawing is no different. Practice plays an important role in developing ourselves as designers and should be a regular part of our activities, no matter what our current skill levels are. This lesson will show you short and effective drawing exercises that you can do in just a few minutes every day. Think about athletes. They practice on a regular basis to achieve their goals. We can think of these exercises in the same way. If you practice them regularly, your drawing skills will improve. Even if you're confident with your lines and hatching and are happy with the results, these exercises are still a good exercise to practice. They provide a chance to focus your mind on a simple concrete action, which makes it easy to enter the state of flow. If you do a 5 or a 10-minute warm-up before even touching a big project you're working on, you may be surprised. Take for example, musicians do many warm-ups before the actual performance. Think about these exercises in the same way, like warming up our artistic brains. The tool for practice is up to you. I'll start with pencil and regular paper, but you could use fine liners or anything else that you like for these exercises. Use the worksheet that is included in a few templates to help you. So these are the worksheets that I've added. You see that later in the tasks video as well. So you can start with this, otherwise just grab a piece of paper and get started. So the first thing, we are going to start working the linear muscles. So drawing a line seems easy, but your mind and your body should work together to do this task successfully. There is a difference in how we create shorter and longer marks. So take your paper and draw a very short line, about 1 centimeter. So you just see like that. That's my 1 centimeter. And observe how your fingers work together, moving slightly while holding the tool. So now if you're drawing a longer line, let's say about 4 to 5 centimeters, you can see how your wrist moves with it when the line becomes extended. Now, if we are creating an even longer mark, this will be possible because we'll be using our elbow as well. So we are moving the whole arm. So have a look at those 3 images. So this is what we do only using our fingers, then this will be using our wrist, and this will be using our elbow, right? So see, to draw different lengths, we slightly need different movements. I can also try going that way, and here, and even longer. So keep that in mind and pay attention to your body, especially if you feel like something is not working. If you feel like you're trying to do a very long line, but then you're going round, it's because your elbow is stuck. So you just need to move your arm with it and just make it happen. Another tip is to find out which direction of hand movement is more convenient for you. So you see how I like drawing towards myself, but you could like drawing away from yourself. So try it both ways. Also try going different ways and see what best works for you. Some people like flipping the paper I sometimes do that. I do that quite a lot. But it's easier for you to find out what's your best outcome with the lines. Also, another thing is check the surface where you're sketching. If there's any lumps and bumps or any texture under your sheet, this could make your lines not straight, and that will make it all more difficult. Right, so to the next exercise. So let's talk about the hairy lines. So this is what you'll be looking at when doing your straight lines. So it's completely normal to be cautious when you're trying to draw, especially if you're a beginner. So when you're too cautious, you can draw a short line and just keep adding to it. So you have a look at this closer. It looks like your line is a bit hairy and it's not consistent. So if you like to develop a more control over your finish line, I would suggest use as few lines as possible, making them as long as steady as possible. So instead of doing like really tiny ones going one by one, maybe try going bigger, and then from this you can proceed and start going all the way down. So don't be afraid of failing. Relax your mind and hands and trust yourself. Maybe you won't draw the lines correctly on your first attempt, but you'll get better at this, and this skill will come with time. The more you practice, the better you become. Okay, so now let's focus on drawing straight lines freehand. The goal is to explore our abilities. We are not trying to create perfect lines. If you're not sure about drawing a straight line, I would suggest making a line with a ruler. So we can use a ruler. I'll just make one here and just maybe try to follow. I'll just make another one going the other way because that's how I prefer drawing. So when you're drawing a line, pay attention to the pressure on the tool, on your pencil, and the speed of the movement. Don't push too hard. You'll notice that the starting and the end points of your lines depend on how lightly you touch the paper. So basically, this is my, let's pretend this is my, I'm just gonna go pressing and pressing. So if you look at closer, if I was using a fine tip liner, you see like really small blobs around the edges. Okay, so this is a line with full stop at the end. So this is how you go. I'll just do it again. So pressure, full stop. All right, see how I lifted my pencil a little bit, but I can just go stronger. Okay, and full stop. I can also just go slightly lighter and then heavier and lighter. So we'll be using this quite a lot. Lighter, heavier, lighter. And I can also start really heavy and just go with a sharp point. Again, sharp point. We use this a lot for details and gathers and trims and fabric movement. So it is important for you to learn how to do that. You can also start with the opposite and full stop and full stop. And to be fluent with your lines, I recommend repeating all these examples as many times as you'd like, and until you get a better flowing with your hand. Okay, so let's keep going. So exercise, now we're gonna start drawing lines with gaps. So I would say we would be using these for top stitching possibly. So basically, let's draw some dashed lines. So the spacing have to be the same length. So this is what we're doing. So basically the same way we did before with the full stop, we're going to apply here, but in shorter strokes. So just be consistent. You can also go wider. It's a good practice to do. You can also mix the length of your broken lines. So this is great also for details like embroideries and quilting and many other different effects you want to apply to your drawings. So it's great to practice that way. Another thing is that we should control the accuracy of our strokes. So this exercise is a bit more advanced. So first thing I'm going to say is just draw a line. So I'm just going to draw a line, and I can also do a bit wiggly line. And then the next thing is to start adding hatches. That's just plain lines, just trying to keep them all the same distance apart. And then you can do the same following this shape. When you're working with hatches, what you do, I use this a lot to give shadowing to my drawings. I don't know if you've noticed. So let's say like usually around the neck, I'm just going like that and creating a little bit of shadow. This will be very helpful for you in the future. This is a good exercise to get started with. So start with the line and then just try to make them evenly spaced. Another exercise, you can just have your line and then you just keep like, let's say like a ½ centimeter apart from that, and just go all the way down. I'm not doing full stop here at the end, but I can do a full stop here. So let's pretend I have to finish my lining here. This is good for when you're drawing fringing, because you need to have that imaginary line where your fringe is going to stop, and you can't just keep going and, you know, just drawing anywhere and making it an uneven hem, because that won't make sense. The more you practice with this, the faster you become, and the easiest will be for you to achieve all these results without having to worry too much about it. It's a really good practice for developing better control. Another great thing to do is drawing up. I'm just gonna break up the page. We can start with some zigzags and wiggly lines. You can outline a couple of horizontal lines if you like, and just, you know, just draw them inside if you like. If you find it easier, you can start this way. So you can just go and just keep going with the flow. We can also go more rounded, or we can do zigzag, or you can also just go round up, 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 just like a scalloped edge. You can also try doing some circles. They are fun. Try not to touch the lines, keep them apart. I know they are not perfect, they are not meant to be perfect. The whole point of this is to exercise the hand flow and to help you have a steady hand when drawing. So this is a pretty good exercise. Practice as many times as you want. You can fill up a whole page, 2 pages, 5 pages, it doesn't matter. Just practice as much as you can, even if you're stressed. That helps a lot. So really try to fit in at least like 5 minutes a day to just practice a little bit of this exercising, because this will help you a lot along the way, and will help your sketching a lot faster. Another thing that we have here on the practice sheets is the gathering. So we do use this a lot when drawing fashion, for dresses, for anything in general. We use a lot of this to represent folds, gathers, volume of when the fabric is bunched up, and if you have a D-ring or O-ring or any special, any sort of hardware that you have the fabric attached to it. So this is a pretty good exercise to keep going. So drawing with precise control is important, but drawing looser and less precise lines is also important, also an important skill to develop. We are taking a break from drawing straight lines and loosen up with some gathers. There's no right and wrong on doing this, so just go with the flow. Let's pretend I have a seam line, and then this will be my gathered. So don't worry too much, it doesn't have a specific way of drawing this. You can just build up as you like. You can make them pointier. It all depends on the fabric you're using, if you're just going straight lines or if you're just bulking up a little bit more. So this will be more for the heavier fabrics. So let's then pretend we have an O-ring, and then let's say we have your fabric here. Okay, so let's, and then this will be all gathered, and then you have some smaller ones down here. So these will start making more sense once you see that on the actual drawing. So just keep practicing your loose hand and keep going like that. It usually goes around same lines and stuff. You can also practice just like we did before. So you're just losing, you're going hard and just letting it go, and then just loosen up. Okay, so if you want to be really accurate with your drawings, I would suggest you start doing this. I'll just use a ruler so it's a bit straighter. So just do this, this, and here. So if you want to be really accurate with your drawings, so what you do, this is just an imaginary line. So let's pretend, let's start from here. So we're just going straight line, then spacing, straight line. Okay, next step, from this row we are gonna do another line. So just down all the way. So see how this would be the middle. I'm going a little bit to the right side, and the same, trying to keep the same distance in all of them. I noticed that I work much better with lines if I'm using my elbow motion. Just whatever works for you. Then the next step will be from my middle line, I'm gonna go on the other side and just do little like strokes, smaller strokes. See, in this case I'm just using my wrist, and they should all be the same here. So you can see how accurate the spacing is between them and the length of them all. Now a good exercise, you could even repeat this exercise. You could, I'm just gonna do it very little here. Okay, you could also just go this way. Okay, you can go diagonal if you like, and just keep practicing. Okay, so now that we talked about doing all those little lines the little hatches. Another good thing, if you want to practice this, is to create a square. You can do a square and just, you can go any direction you'd like, or you can do a circle and just fill it up. Another thing now is crossing this hatch, this practice. So I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna go in 2 different directions, crossing over one another. This exercise is similar to the previous one, but this time we'll create 1 layer of hatching and then add another with a different direction. So I'm just gonna start this way, and then now I'm gonna just slightly cross over. So you can see all those little diamonds forming on the inside. The hatches are crossing here, and this effect can be used when drawing the base of a lace garment or mesh. So this is quite important to do as well for the future. Whenever you're drawing later, you understand what I'm talking about when you're doing your little fabric there. One last thing now is drawing up your ruffles and pleats. Basically, when drawing ruffles, what you're gonna do, you can start setting up. So this will be my hemline, and then from here I'm gonna build curvy lines. Then from the higher point here, I'm just gonna go up and up, and then from the inside I'm gonna close. So you can see I can use my hatching now. See that? There you go. And then I just keep going. And then I can add some more for shading here. Drawing ruffles are very simple. I know some people are very afraid of them, but it's quite easy, it's quite simple. You can also just do like more wavy depending on how the fabric is flowing. So always remember to bring this line up from the outer point, and then the inside goes up here, so that's the inside of the fabric. So you can see how that's going that way. You can also do bigger ones. So it depends, it all comes down to the fabric you're using. So these ones, you can see how they are a bit chubbier. And here it is. So if you have a more structured fabric that pops out a lot more, this is how you can go with that. Now if you're doing pleats, you can follow the same sort of, you can follow the same sequence we apply there. So you can find your hemline first, and then you can just go pointier and up, in. Okay, some of these concepts will be revising again later when we are drawing garments, so it's good for you to get started now, so once you get to that point you already know what to do. Also for the pleats, depending on the fabric, it doesn't need to be like super sharp at the edges, so you can be a little bit softer, but definitely not rounded. So just see the fabric you're using and practice with that in mind. So if you're doing pleats going all one way, so you just do a little step going same way. And if you're doing a sunray plate, you can, it's like a little zigzag, so you just have that. But remember to focus on how the hemline looks, because that's important for you to represent your drawings later. And before we wrap up this lesson, I'd like to add one more point about the way you approach your daily drawing practices. It's completely okay to love drawing the things you're good at, but sometimes we avoid activities that seem challenging or boring. I do understand how boring these exercises can be. I've done them myself when I was back in fashion school, and I still do them sometimes. Sometimes you just don't draw for quite a little bit of time, and then when you're picking up, you just, oh, I can't get the hand. My hand is not, I'm not drawing really nicely as I used to, and then you just do a little bit of those exercises, and then you just get back on track. So we often become attached to our strengths, avoiding anything that makes us feel uncomfortable. On one hand, developing skills that we are not already skilled in may make us even stronger. So let me give you an example. If an artist feels that their drawings aren't as strong as they could be because of indecisive lines, by indecisive lines, I mean like those hairy lines, or maybe your straight line is not straight. Avoiding this weak point won't improve their skills. So they should give some time to practice. That's really the only way to improve. If you know what to improve and how to practice, your success is a matter of time and effort. All the magic happens when you're working and enjoying the process, even if there are some challenges. Don't be afraid to leave your comfort zone and just go for it.